Do you think this is a humiliating loss for the Prime Minister?
I don't think it's a humiliating loss, but I think when you look at the identity of the rebels, the ringleaders, you've got Anna Soubry, Dominic Grieve, Ken Clarke. The thing about them is that every step of the way throughout this Brexit process, they've been doing everything they can to try and throw hurdles in the way, throw obstacles in the way of Brexit, anything to slow it down, anything to create
Sorry to interrupt you, but of those MPs who voted last night, about half will leave and half will remain in terms of their constituencies. So if you look at who they're representing, it was about a 50-50 split.
Yeah, but I don't think MPs have been voting on this process on the basis of who they've represented. They've been voting on the basis of long-standing support for EU membership, and I think that's completely the same when you look at the vote last night. These are the people that have been doing their best to try and stop Brexit at every opportunity, and they've done a very good job of spinning it. They say it's all about parliamentary sovereignty. They're trying to sell it as some reasonable scrutiny, but it's quite clear what they're doing. All they're doing is just trying to put another obstacle in the way of Brexit and inflicting a political defeat on their own government.
Do you think there's a point to that, Elspeth, that they are just putting barriers in the way?
I think that some of the amendments that they've tabled have been very valuable, and perhaps they do have their own kind of interests as well. But democracy is about debating things. It's about deliberating on processes, and it's really important that this takes place. From the research that we've done with young people anyway, young citizens felt that it's actually really important that this happens, that there is a level of debate. Brexit shouldn't be any different. So I think it's, while some of the MPs will be representing kind of perhaps some of their own interests, others will be representing their constituencies, which are, again, quite split. And it's important that we take a look at this and we debate it as we would any other piece of legislation.
This is democracy in action, isn't it, Hugh? Why should the EU get a vote on this at the end of the day and the British Parliament not?
Well, the British Parliament is going to get a vote. The government's absolutely committed to that. And in the agreement with the EU has made it completely clear that the withdrawal agreement must be made a full UK statute. So that's absolutely going to happen anyway. I think the problem with this amendment is that it can end up disrupting the timetable. If there are last-minute negotiations that need to go on with Brussels, it means the government may not be able to put in place the legal contingency measures needed to make sure that we have a smooth Brexit immediately after 29th of March 2019. By doing this amendment, it means that the withdrawal agreement could get bogged down in parliamentary process. We know what it's like when Brexit bills go to the House of Lords. They always want to delay things. And I think the problem is, this just ends up creating more uncertainty. It means we don't know whether all the legal contingencies are going to be able to be put in place if the deal is done in a last-minute way.
Elspeth, more uncertainty, chaos. The Prime Minister had said that MPs would be able to express their views, didn't she?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the thing. If you offer this, you have to honour your word on it, and that's really important. I think there's a real issue in saying bogged down by parliamentary processes. This is part of living in a democracy. This is particularly for young citizens who are often left out of these processes. We elect our MPs and we want them to represent our views, and we want to make sure that there is a level of scrutiny taking place there. So while it may kind of cause some uncertainty, the government are very resilient and are very good at kind of adapting timetables and acting under these different pressures. And so I feel like the argument that it will delay processes is something that we can work around. It's more important in the long run that this is something that is acted on properly, and we are confident as citizens living in this country that the correct processes have been taken place, and we are really kind of making sure that we are leaving the best deal possible.
Hugh, Anna Soubry, one of those who voted, there has been a suggestion today that some mutineers should be deselected. Nadine Dorries suggested that. Do you think that some of those mutineers should lose their seats?
No, I don't think that's productive at all. I think obviously they've expressed their view on this. I think they've tried to make a political stand. I don't think deselecting them is the right way forward. I think they still need we still need to be doing more to improve the consensus around how the process is going. But I think the real problem just comes when you look at the motives of the people who are supporting these amendments. Particularly more so on the Labour benches, but also with the Conservatives. They talk this big game about parliamentary sovereignty. In the next breath, they're talking about how they want to force the UK to remain in the single market and the customs union. That means 60% of our laws coming straight from the EU with not even a nanosecond of parliamentary scrutiny on the vast majority of them. And I think it's just frankly a little bit patronising of voters to have all these MPs saying they're taking a big principled stand on these issues of constitutional significance, and in the very next breath saying they'd happily sign away our parliamentary sovereignty to the EU, forevermore.